Okay. First off, I want to welcome some new members to the family. Samwise Boggins and Tommaso Tolkien. Let's treat them like the brothers they are. Okay? Good. Right. Orcs. Labeled as one of the Bashy teams. We're familiar with two members already, goblins and trolls. While visually they look different, they work pretty much the same as what we faced in the last match. Now, there is a limit to how many you can have on the team. An orc team can only have one troll and 4 goblins max. Sounds great, right? Wrong, Tony! Half the time these guys don't need either. The orcs are all they need. An orc linesman is about as fast and agile as a standard halfling. Don't know who that's an insult to, and I don't care. Let's keep going. Key difference is that strength and bulk. Majority of the time it's going to take 3 of us to safely take down one of them. And that seems to be a common feature between orcs. Sadly for these guys, compared to the other orcs on the team, they're kinda pointless. The only real thing going for them is their cost and expendability. The orc thrower is a linesman that traded that bit of bulk to master the art of picking up the ball and throwing it really well, making them the best ball handlers on the team, and an absolute unit later in a league. Luckily for us, we're getting our match out of the way early. Now you can only have 2 throwers on a single team, but that bit of a change in tactics can be deadly. Moving on to the blitzer, the linesman's faster, more capable brother, being that 1 step more mobile is a big difference. And the biggest boon is that they have this natural skill to block incoming retaliations. Basically meaning double downs are impossible without the ability to wrestle them to the ground. Last, but by no means least, the Black Orcs, or Biggins if we're keeping up with modern orc politics. Stats wise, there's almost no difference from a troll outside of being that little bit weaker, but that little bit more agile. They have to work that wee bit harder, but are more than capable of taking down our tree men with the right manpower. And with that strength alone, they will easily deal with 1 or 2 halflings. Make no mistake, this will be tough. Normally we would be relying on dodges and double downs to keep ourselves in the game, but those blitzers will make that hard. If we can just hold out, we should be able to outsmart them, which, let's face it, it's not hard to do. Orcs are about as dumb as they are ugly. And that's a whole lot of ugly on that Red Boys team, am I right? They're right behind me, aren't they? Fuck. So, after I narrowly avoided looking like a snotling after it's been hit by a dwarven death roller, it was time for our match with the orcish Red Boys. And if you look back to how we fared with a team that was on par with our own strength level, to say I was bricking it would be an understatement. Orcs are murderous, and take pleasure in pounding squishy players to pulp. Once again, we had brought along the Master Chef and used the rest of the money for some blood-wiser babes to help try and stir any knocked out players to their feet. Because come on, it's halflings. Getting hurt or knocked out is our specialty. As the crowd cheered and my stomach did the tango, the ref flipped the coin and the call was made. Once again, the Proudfoots kicked for the defense. As Smeagol made the kick, the Proudfoots used their perfect defense to rearrange the starting lines before the ball landed in a most opportunistic position. And with that, the game had begun. The Red Boys mobilized, walling off their half of the pitch to prevent any halflings slipping in and taking the ball. As the Goblin top grip moves in and picks up the ball, the Orc blitzer McGrask goes for a blitz on Fredo, with the halfling dodging out the way despite being outnumbered. Hilbo Bilberry was less fortunate, as mirrored to his previous match, the troll Airpuke's backhand takes the halfling out of the game, sadly this time on a more permanent basis. One turn in, and we were already down a player. This was not good. Upon our turn, Minto Twintos and Liblo Smeagol provided the treemen support for a block on Airpuke. With this, Rudo Sudo took root and clotheslined the troll to the ground, clearing a path to the ball handler. As Treebeard kicks Badrook Smashnub to the turf, Gobby and Tom Selleck move to blitz Topgrib and sack that ball, but the goblin is quick and dodges with ease. With our failed blitz, Tony and Samwise regroup with the other halflings behind the treemen. Fredo and Tommaso double up for a block on Magask, and with an offering to Nuffle to escape a terrible fate, Fredo cracks the orc in the face, sending him flying and leaving a safe gap between the halflings in certain pain, ending the turn. The orcs move to protect the ball carrier, setting up a better version of the Gobby half screen we attempted last game, as Airpuke rises to his feet, not showing the patented troll stupidity I was hoping for. The Blitz Orc Subath goes for a patented blitz on Gobby, and as sharp as Gobby was to throw that punch, the orc brushed it off with ease, resulting in another badly hurt halfling. Now free, Topgrip moves to his blitzer buddy, who in turn moves ahead to help advance the ball down the field. Our turn began again with Treebeard taking root to make a block on Airpuke, only managing to push the troll further back into his own half. Samwise and Minto move to lock up the goblin while Smeagol moves to assist Fredo, and after burning another Nuffle offering, Rudo Sudo was able to stun Subath with a hellacious boot. With the orc down for a turn, the opportunistic Tony Blur blitzes Topgrip, injuring the ball carrier and sending the ball into touch. As the ref hurls the ball back with his telekinetic powers, seriously, look at the way he does that. Oh, good programming. Tom Selleck moves to assist Smeagol and Fredo in a three-man block on Morclaw the Blitzer, with Fredo pushing the orc back, following for a hold-up. This was a mistake. The Red Boys began their turn reforming their defence, marking up players and allowing the thrower Sorok to go and pick up the ball. Mork Dar uses the strength advantage to blitz Samwise, but in the end, a pushback was all he could muster. Fredo was less fortunate as his counter-attack on Morclaw was poised through and a fling was knocked on his arse, ending their turn. As Fredo gingerly picked himself back up, Tony assisted Sam and Minto in a three-man retaliation on Morkdar, sending the orc flying, but using up the blitz. Something we'd instantly regret as Tommaso and Smeagol moved safely down centre field to mark Sorok. With the plan debunked, the treemen started to clear centre field, with Treebeard rounding the orcs together, allowing Tom Selleck to slip in and hold all three up. With the help of Fredo, of course. With nowhere else to go, Samwise bravely, or stupidly, however you want to look at it, marked Airpuke to end our turn. As the orcs rose and repositioned themselves, Subath blitzed Smeagol, forcing a dodge from the fling, frustrating the orc but negating our advantage on the ball carrier. As the Red Boys burned their only offering to realign the troll's brainwaves, Airpuke smashed Samwise with a backhand, knocking the rookie out cold. Tom and Fredo took a bashing from Mucklaw and the big un Grebek to her elbow. Luckily, both flings came through unscathed. The same could not be said for Tommaso Tolkien, as the fling was stunned by a surprising block from the ball handler Sorok, showing the danger this ball carrier possessed. We had reached the halfway point of the first half and things were getting dicey, and would get worse when Tony attempted to break free and link up with Rudo Sudo, only to be stunned by a hard tackle from Morkdar. Turnover. Sensing the opportunity, the Red Boys mobilised a more offensive setup, allowing Subath to push through Smeagol's double down attempt, smacking the fling to the floor, breaking his neck. This wasn't great. A fling with less agility was more or less unable to compete, and we needed all the money we could get for that Nuffle altar. So, the apothecary was used, and Liblo was sent to the dugout. Noticing centre field was much more open, Sorok made a run into our half, just narrowly reaching the halfway line. Mokdar blitzes the isolated Minto Twinto, poising through another double down attempt, as the same would happen to Frido, knocking him out cold. These blockmasters were really doing a number on us. Before Frido was even off the pitch, Grabek charges Tom Selleck, badly hurting the halfling and critically lowering our numbers fast. The moment our turn began, Tommaso used his stunty frame to duck a swipe from Earpuke and gained refuge under the branches of Treebeard, while Minto dodged a 3-man assault to mark up Suruk. Deep down there wasn't much we could really do, and the Red Boys knew it. Upon their turn, the big uns surrounded Tommaso, preventing him from making an escape. As the Orcs began advancing up the pitch, Subaf on a fling-breaking roll blitzed Minto, stunning the halfling and leaving us very low on able players. We were in dire need of some creativity, and with the trees rooted, we only had one option. As Tony rose defiantly onto his feet, Treebeard picked Tommaso up out of the danger of the Red Boy Biggins, and before Tommaso could realise his fortress was now his catapult, yeeted the fling right into Sorok, fracturing the thrower's arm and knocking out the halfling. But the job was done. The one guy who could almost guarantee to pick up the ball was gone, and while they tried to ensure they had the best chance by knocking down Tony again, they couldn't avoid the fumble. Their turn was over, and when it came to the final turn of the half, McClaw wasn't able to get anywhere near the end zone. Half-time, 0-0. We had at least held on for the first half, with 3 halflings injured and only 2 coming to at half-time. But with the best handler and runner out of the game, I was confident we could take this half. And once again, as the players came out, the Master Chef allowed us to borrow another offering from the Red Boys. But as the Orcs kicked off, the roaring fans threw another offering to the Red Boys team, sort of negating the steal we just made. Them's the breaks. As our turn began, Tommaso moves to form a half cage around the ball. Wudo Pseudo kicks Earpuke to the floor, freeing Treebeard for a blitz on the big and Bardock Smashnell. With the Orc down, Treebeard moved into the Red Boys' half, followed by Samwise to keep up the assist. As Smeagol moved next to Wudo Pseudo, mostly for the protection and not any advantageous play whatsoever, Minto Twintos ran through the half cage to pick up the ball, ending our turn. The Red Boys started the defensive play, marking Smeagol and locking our half cage up, though Minto was still free to move. As Earpuke rose to his feet, Sorok used that strength to finally finish his life's work, blitzing Smeagol and finally taking the badly hurt halfling out of the match permanently. As Smeagol was dumped off the pitch, Ugroth Eatheads confidently blocked Samwise, who threw a counterpunch, knocking the big un down. Turn over. As Samwise picked himself up, Treebeard and Minto orchestrated a yeet into the Red Boys' half. Only in the wrong order. Admittedly a costly blunder on my part. Tommaso and Tony used their stunty frames to escape the Orcs and provide aid to the treemen. Wudo Pseudo takes root and goes for a block on Subaf, only managing a pushback on the blitzer. Smeagol's avenging would have to wait. On their turn, the Orcs surrounded our team, walling us in and giving Magash the chance for a poise-breaking blitz on Minto, stripping the ball and breaking the fling's neck. An injury I didn't want. And to make matters worse, Sam was stunned with another Earpuke backhander. Thankfully, Grabek could only push Tony back, keeping the ball somewhat guarded for now. Treebeard started our turn, pushing Grabek back whence he came, moving that sturdy frame next to the ball, adding a more stable guard. Wudo Pseudo followed suit, smacking Ulgrot to the turf, stunning the Orc and freeing the treeman up for a future yeet. The Red Boys advanced forward, putting a strain on the remaining halflings. This time Tony would be taken out of the match by a trade of blows with Nagask, the latter being unaffected, as Ugroth went for a block on Tommaso, with the fling dodging back to delay the inevitable. Wudo Pseudo's rebuttal was a swift smack to Ugroth's face, teaching the Orc a lesson of don't screw with the treeman's yeet boy. With this, Treebeard used a blitz to push Grabek even further, freeing him to position himself in a better ball securing spot. In an attempt to help secure the ball, Samwise sprang up and stunted his way past all control fists to reach Treebeard, with Tommaso not far behind him, ending our turn. Knowing they needed to be more daring, Earpuke pushes Samwise between an orc and a troll face, while the rest of the Red Boys reposition themselves. Seeing the opportunity, Magask moves in to successfully pick up the ball under immense tree fling pressure. God, I hate these guys. Before the team had time to process what had happened, Samwise was knocked down by McClaw, ending the turn. Our turn and Treebeard smashed the ball out of Magask's hands, ensuring they wouldn't do anything with it. As the ball fumbled into a pocket behind the Red Boys, Samwise stuntily risks a very optimistic / delusional pickup, naturally failing so hard Nuffle was of no help. Turnover, but with the ball in a more promising position. However, what Nuffle giveth, Nuffle taketh away. As the Red Boys moved closer to the ball, McClaw knocked Samwise out cold, removing our best chance of getting the ball. And as the Red Boys' offering was burned to reverse a sweet tackle from Wudo Pseudo, the Red Boys would in turn have their giveth be taketh, as Subath fumbles the ball, turning play back to us. What little that meant. With an assist from Nuffle, Treebeard blitzed Magask to free up some space, damaging the Orc's back and taking him out of the game. Sadly, that Nuffle offering meant Tommaso's amazing duck and dodge to pick up the ball was fumbled, with the ball landing safely next to Wudo Pseudo. We were running out of time. Not that it mattered. On the Red Boys' turn, Subath blitzed Tommaso, pushing the fling right into the path of a Badrook bashing, leaving Tommaso stunned on our penultimate turn. And as Morclaw picked up the ball despite Wudo Pseudo's pressure, Ugroth used that almost entire team assist to bring Treebeard down, ending the turn. But as the saying goes, you can't keep a good tree down. And in a moment almost memorable in itself, Treebeard rose back up almost as fast as he was knocked down, shocking the fans. Finding himself in a 1v1, Wudo Pseudo smashes McClaw, sending the ball into Morkdar's hands, which were clearly too slippery for his own good as the ball fumbled even further back to the Red Boys' half. With that, the match kind of fizzled out. The Red Boys were able to pick the ball back up and move it to the huddle, but there was no way for them to reach the end zone on the final turn. And with some amazing dodges from Tommaso Tolkien, the match was over. 0-0. We survived one hell of a bashing. However, things were not good. Minto's neck injury was a big issue for us, and the next game against the Norse team, the Fury Axes, was going to be just as hard. But little did I know, it would be the worst game of my career so far. Okay, that's it for today's adventure. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the bell thingy, and follow me on Twitter. Also, feel free to check out some of my other videos. Who knows, you might find something else you like. And finally, tune in next time where we battle the Fury Axes. But until that day, this has been Techno Odin. Stay safe, claim skulls, and may Nuffle bless your dice.